Hello everybody, here with Coach Kasim Hansen from N1 Education, and today I want to talk a little bit about just an overall topic of sensation and understanding maybe a little bit more detail about these crampy feelings you might get in the gym, some of this pain sensation you may get in the gym with certain exercises, and trying to establish what this mind-muscle connection really is when we're in the gym and how we should be going about choosing exercises and performing movements in the gym to get the most out of it. So I think it's very attractive from a user's perspective, from a trainee's perspective, to go into the gym and do an exercise and have it feel really, really good and get a very heightened sensory feedback immediately saying, oh, I really feel this contraction. I really feel this pec, I really feel my quad. And I think a common mistake that I think you've helped reinforce to me is that actually a muscle activating? Why is that pain, why is that cramp really there, and what is it telling us? And then what should we be doing about that to maybe avoid that, or is that actually a bad thing? So I think the first starting point is, where do these cramps come from? Where do these squeezing, crampy sensations come from when we're going in the gym?
Yeah, so when we look, anybody that's gotten an actual cramp knows that is it a painful based sensation, and basically that's a contraction that's out of your control. Mm-hmm. And really, when we talk about like getting a cramping contraction in a position that we go into in the gym, that's the same thing. Is that muscle is now less under our control, because usually those happen when we have taken a joint to a place where it is less stable. And what we have to look at is anytime we take the body into we'll say a position that's either near harm or lacking stability, is all of a sudden we have to communicate with all of that tissue around that much more. So like the frequency that the nervous system is sending and receiving signals to all of that tissue around there gets heightened. So the overall sensation goes up. And if it is compromised enough, it becomes crampy, right? Mm-hmm.
So a simple way to explain that could be, we usually get these cramps in any parts of our body when we're in the gym anyway, more so as a potential threat stimulus, saying that we're doing something that's probably not a good thing or not ideal.
Yeah, in reality, when you think about like the sensations that you have, like when we say like, oh, people want to go in and they want to feel like that feels good. For some reason, like when it comes to exercise, we think hurt is what feels good. We think that pain is the goal. When in reality, if you think about any position where you've actually had a really strong contraction against something, it probably actually doesn't have a pain sensation. So like one of the easiest ways that I like to illustrate that is I'll just have people like do a bicep contraction in the mid-range. So like if you just go like this and actually contract your bicep into that, there's zero crampiness. And there's without a doubt that you're able to contract your bicep like as hard as you possibly can. There's a tremendous amount of tension there. Mm-hmm. But the sensation is minimal at best, because our body is not trying to tell us when everything's okay. It'd be a waste of energy, a waste of feedback. So we tend to get heightened feedback when there's something that we need to address. So when it comes to what feels good, there are certain things where maybe we want to get to a position of fatigue, and there's some discomfort that comes with that fatigue towards the end of a set or the end of a workout, right? But that shouldn't be the end of a single rep, like trying to find that, like that pain, because let's just be honest. If something hurts the very first rep, that can't be good. You shouldn't be to that point yet, right? Like, well, why does it hurt? Why do I feel that so strongly when I have 20 more of these to do? Like the first one should be a cakewalk. Right. And I think that's an important thing, is to understand that when it comes to the sensations that we're feeling, is mind-muscle connection is not a degree of how much sensation you're getting back. It's a degree of how much control you have over that tissue. And I think that's a message that's been completely lost, like in terms of all the people that are out there focusing on mind-muscle connection. Is it's becoming more of a how much do you feel that, rather than actually focusing on how much do you have control over that. So I look at defining mind-muscle connection as having conscious control of that tissue, like under like all conditions. Like the ability to say like, I want to contract this part of my pec, cool, just did it, right? That's mind-muscle connection, not like, oh my God, I feel it there. Like that sensation is not control in any way, shape, or form. It's, in this case, the absence of control. And I think that's a big thing or a big paradigm shift that people need to make, is understanding what mind-muscle connection is and it's supposed to be. So it's like your control over that tissue, right? And that's a much more subtle sensation of feeling that tension. It's this sensation rather than the pain or the crampy sensation.
I think that's probably where a lot of the confusion comes from, is people feel maybe those cramps from the very first rep, and they believe, oh, I'm getting this, I'm so weak here, maybe I should be getting stronger in that position.
Yeah.
Do you think that's probably not a good idea?
Yeah, so I mean, the reason that usually you're weak there is because we are in a compromised position. And anytime you put the body in a compromised position, you will, one, get that heightened sensation, and two, you will exhibit weakness. But that weakness is actually it's a protective mechanism combined with a lack of mechanical efficiency in those positions. So it's very easy to kind of put these things into like a gimmicky form of like, oh, look how weak you are there, and use that as like, oh, so you need more of this. When in reality, be like, well, actually, if you just lined that up a little bit better, you might be strong, like very strong, right? And the sensation might be significantly less, but it'd be very, very strong. And we'll put it this way: if you think of the exercises that you tend to naturally be very good at and be able to do a lot of load, you probably notice that you don't get those crampy sensations in those. And what happens is those actually are your best movements, and people detract away from those and chase movements that they're not very good at or that don't fit their structure for those, those painful or crampy sensations.
I think importantly, do you believe that chasing these kinds of sensations is actually dangerous or detrimental, or do you think it's not doing that much harm if you can just keep doing it alongside what would you consider appropriate training? Is it actually a bad thing?
So every rep we do is an opportunity for our body to kind of learn how to deal with our environment and how we're trying to control it. So if we do good reps, we're practicing that. If we do bad reps, we are practicing that. So in reality, with the degree of exposure that we put ourselves into, like with training, right, where we're doing something with the repeated efforts, with the volume and a high degree of effort, then basically anything that's suboptimal done enough can be detrimental. It's kind of like you smoke one cigarette, it doesn't kill you, but you smoke them often, right? Then you are going to start to actually, cause harm to your system. It's a build up. So basically, the first time you do something, okay, I got some crampy sensations. Maybe I didn't get great results at the gym that day. Did I hurt myself? Probably not. But if you do that for another workout and another workout and another workout, eventually your motor patterns and your stability and things like that start to adapt. And that's where we get closer and closer to injury. Okay? Because we start creating strength imbalances, we start creating disrupted motor patterns, and we really start to lose range of motion is the big thing. So most people may not get a muscle tear, but they might lose a lot of function. But loss of function is a prerequisite for injury when that function is needed. So you take, for instance, the person that doesn't, they don't train optimally, they do a lot of stuff that's causing them to lose range of motion, and then one day they may have to slip or react, and then that's when they tear something. And it was that whole cascade of domino effects leading up to that one point that they had just been slowly losing that function, then all of a sudden they needed that function in an instant, no longer had it, and then the injury occurred. Do they ever attribute it to the 5 years of poor training they did? No, they attributed it to that one day that they managed to slip or whatever, even though they may have slipped 100,000 times up till that point in their life and never hurt themselves. Right?
So with that in mind, would you consider there to be pretty much no place for any of these crampy sensations in the gym with training?
Yeah, I mean, one thing, they are a sign that you need to address the execution or the setup, right? So something about what you're doing is misaligned with what you're trying to accomplish. So really the only place they have is kind of like a warning sign of, oh, shouldn't go there, right? So what do I need to do? How do I need to change my arm path or the resistance or my intent or what it is, right, to get myself to a point where now this feels more like this and less like that.
Right, so it could have a very small opportunity as a teaching thing. As like it may be like a little warning sign of, hey, this is where you're going when you're going a little bit too far into an extreme range, and you shouldn't be chasing that specific sensation in the gym.
Yeah, the probably the best application of that is when people get to passive insufficiency, like they go past a range of motion for something. Like, so for instance, if you were in a leg extension, you were overly flexed at the hip, like past your rec fem, and you're like, oh, I really feel that, and I'm like shaking, like the stanky leg like thing going on or whatever. Well, that's a sign that, okay, probably I'm at a point where that muscle is just can't really function, right? So I can, in a sense, it's a positive in that I can use that as kind of a check, to say like, oh,
where's your range at?
Yep, yeah, past my range. I need to use less hip flexion.
For sure, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So what do you think would be a better way to manage your training and your exercise selection in the gym? Do you think all these different sensory cues of the crampy feedback is really good, or what should we be doing differently?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, we shouldn't be making that a goal of any sense. It's the opposite of the goal. I think the difficult thing is the perfect answer is understanding like how to assess your movement, but that requires a lot of knowledge from an anatomy perspective. So, if we're talking about what are simple things that you can strive for, well, one is that motion should feel natural and pain-free for the most part, and you should feel strong and proficient in it. Now, there's maybe movements if you're just starting out that you may not feel coordinated in. So, like if you've never pressed dumbbells before, you might like dance all over with the dumbbells. That doesn't mean that is detrimental for you. But if you're pressing dumbbells in a certain plane and you're getting pain, right, or you're getting those crampy sensations, then that's bad. So, without saying like, well, the best thing to do is to really understand movement anatomy, well, yes, that is the absolute best thing. But the minimal thing that you could do if you've been chasing those crampy contractions is to start veering away from those. And while you educate yourself, at least position yourself in exercises where you feel competent and pain-free. And just, try this. Feel what that feels like. That's muscle tension. That's the sensation that you should be going for. So the two things that you want to look for with mind-muscle connection is, can I consciously control this movement? So like, can I learn how to move myself through a specific path of motion and feel tension in that tissue, not necessarily like pain-based sensation, right? So the goal, there's nothing wrong with feeling fatigue, especially if that's what you're going for, right? So if a muscle starts to burn after you've been doing a lot of work, that's normal, and that may be what you're trying to accomplish for that particular training session. Okay? If a muscle starts to burn and you really haven't been, it shouldn't be burning yet, then that's also another chance or another sign that okay, maybe I'm making this more inefficient. My body's working way too hard compared to what it should be.